that's the claim, but I'm hoping that, I believe that is correct. So far in our research, there hasn't been a developer who, um, whatever term you want to use for putting a
I
lazy
can
river
say
on top of
without
the
a
building.
doubt it won't be in the shape of Texas if there is one.
Where is it on the model?
It's on the top, right up
It's
there.
on the fourth floor.
Portion right here, are you gonna be able to
Oh,
swim out?
It's on the
Well,
fourth
the idea,
floor.
we're trying to create an effect where, with plexiglass, that you feel as if you're going over, but we have a big thick piece of glass so you don't, for liability reasons, go over, but you come back.
That'd be a story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, thanks all of you. Okay, so, parking benefits,
I wanted to ask.
Can you hold that up for one moment before you go?
yeah, there we go.
Mayor, I have one question about the. I have one tax reinvestment question.
Hold on, let
If
them
you
get
don't
their
mind.
model too.
It's, I wanted to know if the new TRZ would benefit any county refurbishments or changes to the old Astrodome.
They could. This is a terms that we created at the request of the county. It was actually part of the negotiations when we did the Dynamo deal. And it's really up to the county to decide how to use the increment generated, but it does incorporate the Reliant complex.
It does.
So it certainly is available to the Astrodome because that's part of the Reliant complex.
Okay, because I wasn't here
But
when
you have
y'all
to ask
did
the county because we have no.
So what exactly did y'all do today?
The county can't create a tax increment reinvestment zone, only the city can create it. But once you create one, then the city and the county and school districts, the taxing entities, decide whether to participate. As part of the negotiations on the Dynamo stadium that we did 3 years ago, the county said that they would like us to create a TERS for them. We indicated that we wouldn't be participating in the TERS. It's for the county to collect their income. They don't participate in all of ours. So we had to create it, but it is for them, and it would be up to the county to decide how to use their income. Now, the parking benefit district. It's not going to be up to me to decide how the increment is spent in the district. There will be a parking benefit district advisory committee created of stakeholders, and they'll go through the options. I would caution everybody, it's going to take us a few months to get the meters in place, to get the residential permanent parking in place, to make sure that give the businesses an opportunity to find what they're going to do with the employees that have been using all those public free parking spaces on the street. So there'll be a few months transition, and then we'll hit the stopwatch on the 18-month pilot period. And during that organizing period, the advisory committee of stakeholders will be formed, and they'll decide what the highest and best use of the funds is. I heard some people say at council that they believe more security in the area would be helpful, and the bar owners and the residences, people who've been overserved and they come out of a bar at 2 a.m., they can be a little rowdy, and extra security will help cut that down. There are others who are interested in capturing all that increment and using it to perhaps debt finance a parking facility, but it's a very long corridor. So placement of that would be, whether it's a parking garage or a parking lot, placement of that would be critical. There are some who would like to see it used to help create more circulating shuttles. I don't know what the best solution is. Folks who live over there are going to decide what the best solution is.
So, but it's not necessarily capital improvements, it could be people, like security, it could be any number of things.
It could be any number of things.
Mayor?
I had a question on pensions.
Anything else on
Yeah,
the parking benefit district?
No, this is from White Home.
Okay, I'll come back over.
So, council members at the hearing yesterday, the committee meeting yesterday, talked about wanting sort of a number that this is what the city can afford. If we go over this number, we need to have a discussion about cutting back in other areas. This is the amount that we need to give the pensions, and so the public is aware of the sacrifices being made, because they're saying right now, just, we're not funding the pensions, basically, so, what are your thoughts on that sort of perspective?
This isn't an easy job, and this is about council members deciding what priorities are. What is important is to say, this is how much health benefits for our employees cost. This is how much pension benefits for our employees cost. This is how much providing police and fire and library and health services cost. You line up those costs and you decide what your priorities are. The police and fire pensions are considered actuarially funded. They are above 80%. Our municipal pension is underfunded, and we need to move some money into it. We have just gone through the worst economic recession in generations. We have trimmed and trimmed and trimmed and cut. Now that the economy is loosening up, a lot of the things that we did to cut spending in Houston, to create efficiencies, they're paying off, and the things we've done to create jobs are paying off, so the economy is picking up. Now we have to decide, what are we going to do with, what are our funding priorities, and how do we deal with the pension underfunding. I want to be clear, though, I have only one legislative agenda item, and that is to meet and confer with the fire pension, so that all three of my pensions are in exactly the same position vis-a-vis the city. It is not fair to municipal employees. It's not fair to the police, who have negotiated in good faith. They've made changes to their pension systems, and they're part of the dialogue down here with local control, to have the firefighters, their pension completely controlled in Austin. So I do have the only legislative agenda item I have is about meet and confer, so then all of us can talk about our pensions, because we can say, it's not sufficient to say pensions are a problem. Pensions are not a problem. Pensions are a promise that we made to our employees. Funding those pensions can be a challenge, and deciding what the appropriate pension benefits are is a problem that we negotiate when we can with the pension systems, because the pensions are managed by independent pension boards. But I don't have the ability to even discuss. I could sit down, if I could sit down with my fire pension and we come to an agreement, we couldn't do it, couldn't implement it, we still have to go to Austin. For all those legislators who were elected and talking about local control, well, this is the ultimate local control issue. Let's have the ability to, the taxpayers in Houston, in essence, to be at the table as we discuss what the pension benefits are.
In light of the fact that it was mentioned yesterday that the police pension, for instance, they have a contract through 2023 at this point, in light of the fact that that's sort of tied up until that time, what are the next steps outside of the fire pension? Once you get all three together, would you go back and renegotiate? I mean, is that part of the plan?
I think total compensation for each classification of employee is what we need to look at. And the fact that we have 6 separate negotiations is a challenge. And it means that we never really look holistically at what is fair to a police employee or what is fair to a civilian employee. And so the goal is to try to do as much of this across the bargaining table here in Houston as possible. We make contracts, we keep contracts. You mentioned the police contract. The police officers union and the police pension have, over time, proven willing to, when the city needs them, to come back to the bargaining table early, to step up and work through problems. I particularly want to thank HPOU for their willingness to do that. And I want to thank the police pension system for working with us on, they're helping us solve a larger problem, which is I need a new police complex. Our jail facility, the old police station over on Reasoner, the courts complex, they're crumbling. We presented that to council. There's tens of millions of dollars of repair needs over there. We want to build a new complex. downtown police headquarters is a bargaining chip in that, and HPOPS, our police pension, in a gesture of good faith, has now has an equity interest that in lieu of payment in our downtown police building, so that we can help use that to build a new complex. So again, it's not that we're not in opposition to each other, but we have to have a mechanism to work together. And my frustration is that I have an outlier that I can't work with.
Mayor, I just wanted to ask you real quick. Earlier this week, you wrote on your Twitter that people keep congratulating you and for a new job, but it's not true. Can you expound on more than 140 characters for us?
I would be honored to be considered for a job in Washington. My president has been reelected, and I worked for the president's reelection. But I have the best job in the world. I consistently say I have the best job in the world. I have not called Washington to ask for a job. They have not called me to ask if I want a job. I don't know who started that rumor. Maybe it's just people who don't like me and it's wishful thinking. But I want to assure everybody that I have no plans on leaving town. I have a full year left as mayor to serve, and I'm going to be running for reelection. So it's gotten amusing. People I don't know stop me randomly in the grocery store. Mayor, I understand you've got a job in Washington. And no, and I don't want a job in Washington.
Mayor, I'm sorry I started that rumor. I'm sorry I started that rumor 6 months ago by asking you that question 6 months ago.
How it started.
You did it, Tony.
Yeah, but anyway, I wanted to ask you this question. Mayor, closer to home, downstairs in the rotunda where you have the bookstore and you have the souvenir shop, I know the city no longer is part of the visitor convention bureau, but what's going to happen to that store since the hours are being cut?
Okay, the city of Houston is part of the Convention and Visitors
Thank you,
Bureau.
I appreciate that.
And there is a small visitor center in the George R. Brown. We are, part of what we hope to do with the Now Center for Cultural Tourism, which will be actually, here's the new hotel, here's the George R. Brown, here's the parking garage, the Now Center will be right there. That will provide the opportunity for another visitor opportunity closer to where visitors come. We have a first-class facility downstairs. It's really, really nice, but it is isolated. If you're here for a convention, you're going to be down at the George R. Brown. If you're here for arts activities, you're going to be over in the theater district. And it's sort of it's an odd location, and parking can be challenging. So I'm absolutely committed to having a good visitor center in City Hall, but we don't do a good enough job in terms of providing great Houston souvenirs for our visitors, or providing information on where to go and what to do in Houston for our visitors. So we're trying to upgrade the experience.
Well, have you thought about putting that on HTV? Advertising the store downstairs on HTV?
I don't know. Everybody's serious about that.
You got 650,000 viewers.
That's a thought. But we're doing a lot of construction. HTV is going in downstairs, and we're doing some remodeling. We're not abandoning our visitor center, and it's just we're doing a lot of construction for the move, and we also made it more convenient for our Susan Christian and her special events crew to get in and out. So there's just more logistics stuff than anything else.
Thank you, Mayor.